Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. Thanks for joining me again on this critical thought. I want to engage on a thought as it relates to artificial intelligence. Is it an instrument for education or an instrument of control? Let me also say that I want to bring in thought Paulo Freire, someone that I studied, and as a matter of fact, I went to Brazil last year and I was able to see a picture with him. Here I am standing beside an image that represents Paulo Freire. He was a critical thinker, a thinker that's necessary at this point in time, a thinker that thought about education, that it should not be a banking model, but one that created critical conversations and thought. So now let me go straight into my critical thought as it relates to Pablo Freire and, of course, AI. In 1968, Pablo Freire issued a bold declaration. Education either functions as an instrument for conforming or freedom. Today, in the world of artificial intelligence, this statement is more relevant than ever because AI is transforming education, promising personalized learning, and of course, giving access to vast amount of knowledge. Yes, and with this comes new opportunities for everyone. But I want to ask you, is AI educating us? Or is it programming us to do things or to think a certain way? Or is it fostering critical thinking as we go through and use these various applications? Or is it a tool for control? Consider this. You are a student and you're sitting in a classroom where you have access to artificial intelligence. Your curriculum or learning pathway is personalized. And because of this, AI adapts to what you need to learn. It gives you information, it corrects your weaknesses, and of course, it guides you every step of the way. And it suggests to you what you need to read, watch, and practice, and sometimes what you need to believe. That's possible. It seems liberating until you realize that AI is selecting from limited data sets, creating information to you and giving you that information that's already somewhat pre-selected. And within the information that you're given is, of course, bias based on the data sets. What perspectives are missing are not highlighted in the content that you're given. And of course, you are able to ask critical questions because, of course, it does not engage you to have that level of criticality. So let's step back in time. And I want to step back in time because I want to consider Pablo Freire's thought. He fought against the banking model. But if we look at what's happening now, the banking model is right in front of us, where one student can just put a critical prompt in and get information out. No movement as it relates to reflection on the content or certain ideas of that content is taking place. The banking model now is depositing massive information to students. Students are now involved in this, and rather than cultivating critical dialogue, it's just a copy and paste. AI, if misused, will of course be problematic. It, of course, will lead to the banking model that, of course, Pablo Freire talked about, while suppressing the ability to question things, to rebel when necessary, and, of course, to imagine beyond the thought of that algorithm that has been put in place. Let us look carefully at history. For those who control the power of conversations and discourses, they wield, of course, the power to control society. And when we realize things happened out of context and individuals had access to that, there was the burning of books, the censorship of radical ideas, and the gatekeeping of information, which could be problematic in our society. But let me say that AI could be the gatekeeper for new knowledge. It could determine what content you see, what historical narratives are presented to us, and what are amplified. And that's when I look at now, I need to look at the issue of AI literacy. I do see some frameworks floating around as it relates to AI literacy, but I'm not convinced they're radical enough to address our current situation, even the ones that are shared. Because you know what? We have to dig deeper, and I don't think they're digging deeper. But if you looked at literacy from a Pablo Freire's perspective, You'd understand what I mean. And it goes deeper than these 5 elements or pillars that these AI literacy frameworks are floating around, and people are accepting them. And that is why we're going to consistently have these problems. Now, if you ask me what my AI literacy thought is in connection with Pablo Freire, I've already done a video on that one. Subscribe to my channel. So back to it, a thought about student. One student using AI might get information about colonization that brings horror, while another student using another system might get a sort of level down reflection of certain things that do not bring about critical thinking. The reality is, who decides? Let's talk about data-driven discipline. AI surveillance tools in the classroom is promising. They promise safer environment, of course, efficiency. Sometimes students' eye movements are being tracked to see if they're on task and so forth. They want to track the level of engagement and even predicting future behavior. But at what cost? Does this environment foster trust and curiosity at the same time? Or it brings about fear and compliance that we have seen most recently as it relates to data being collected? When students know they're being watched and observed, and this is consistently done, we have to think about their own well-being. And that is important. Or are they just learning to conform? So we have to consider, if AI is for education, that's wonderful, but it should not lead to restriction. That's key thing there, right? If AI is designed to prioritize efficiency over equity, will it widen the gap between the privileged and those who are, of course, marginalized? And the reality is it will, because that's how the system is designed, based on those individuals who have designed the system. But we have to understand that we must amplify what AI should be for us. As I said to someone the other day, AI is about my own survival. And if you ask me that question, I can answer you when I wake up in the mornings, just even with a little thought. And let me see, the role of teachers will, of course, shift a bit. We don't want teachers to be bankers where individuals just get information from. But we want them to be a part of the system where they're not just mainly content deliverers, but they are mentors, and they are going to be a part of the inspiration of individuals. The human connection is very important in this. If AI reduces the role of the educators just to, as a, let's say for instance, a facilitator, and of course a pre-program of content, then it strips the human aspect of teaching and learning, which is a social practice. As I summarize, I want to bring the point again about, will AI be an instrument of education or control? Will it be used as a tool for liberation, shaping our world to be thinkers and not just obedient thinkers? Or will it be something that will, of course, cause us to have to abide by certain restrictions? We must empower students, allow them to question, challenge things, and of course, create their own content as they interact with various forms of content, of course. Let me end by echoing Pablo Freire's thought. Education is an instrument to bring about conformity or freedom. Today we must decide, will we be bankers or liberators in the quest for AI? I'm Ruhan Jawala, and that's all for now. Thanks for listening.